Thank you. Okay, so good morning, Dr. Anjali particularly, and the technical team and the dear audience. Thanks for inviting me and trusting me to cover such a relevant topic where uh, technology and education sector are creating new kind of demands on the teachers as well as students. And these demands are particularly about being safe and sane in the technical world because of pandemic and digital transformation. All of us are imposed with emerging technologies so much that we have no choice but to be very aware of what are the nuances of being online. So with this background, I would like to first move on to talk about how, okay, so first I would, as desired by the moderator, I would just give a brief background about myself. I have 30 years of experience. I'm with you, Charu Malhotra. They say you should say doctor to yourself. I find it very odd. So I'm Dr. Charu Malhotra. I've done my PhD from IIT Delhi. With 30 years of experience, I have primarily worked as a researcher. I love being researcher to explore new ideas. I've developed certain tools which are being referred in international universities, including recently I get to know my tool is being used as a compulsory reading material in Technical University of Darmstadt at Germany, and several other tools. I also work like a trainer, like each of you who would be hearing us. Primarily, all of us, you would be teachers like I am. And teacher and trainer are a little different, but however, I'm still teacher by spirit. And I've been very fortunate. I have 25 students from all over India who've done, and these students are primarily students from armed forces, brigadiers, commodores, air commodores, and some university students also who've done their MPhil and PhD under me on various topics related to technology. And last but not the least, we are cash cow for our institute. So we churn a lot of consultancy and research work for our organization. I work in a very prestigious organization called as Indian Institute of Public Administration, where I have been, using my technology background to generate consultancy and research opportunities in various fields. And the organizations, I've been very lucky to work with Ministry of Electronics and IT, Ministry of Home Affairs, UGC, Department of Administrative Reforms, and many more in the country as well as internationally. What I'm very proud about in my background is my grassroots exposure. During my PhD, I had visited 600 villages of the country where I tried understanding what would be the reasons of technology adoption with people who are struggling with basic requirements of roti, kapda, and makan. So this gave me a very good idea of how Indian ecosystem is rich with challenges and opportunities both. And these villages were visited by me by dividing the country in 6 zones: northeast, south, and obviously east, west, north, south, and northeast and central, etc. So, and islands, Andaman, Nicobar, etc. So this gave me a very good idea. I used to stay in those villages for something like 10 days to 15 days. It was not questionnaire alone. It was a lot of observation and other qualitative techniques. It was very, it was a toil, I would say 30 years, but it came with its own compensations. And those compensations have really made me realize that whatever we do with a lot of shiddat is always recognized by people, and nationally and internationally both. Okay, so a lot of awards come to us when we are in academia, but the ones I'm really happy about is that I was listed as one of the 51 fabulous global smart cities leader. Yes, I work in cities also because IoT and other aspects of blockchain are being used by me in implementing. And my institute also recognized me as the professor with maximum publications. So many other awards. I'll just skip this part. Okay, and I'll also skip this part. We've already talked about it. I've published almost 90 publications with 8 handbooks, etc., and worked with several international organizations which are there. Okay, now let's come to today's agenda, which is very interesting and important for all of us, as I said, as teachers and students both. First and foremost, we would like to have a look at what is education ecosystem with redefined requirements of combating COVID, as well as the onslaught of emerging technologies. Okay, and what brings with it the new cyber threats. How should teacher now look at themselves, re-look at themselves? So what are the new objectives of teachers? What are the interesting tips which will help us to be more secure? Then we will talk about India also, because we should know what government of India has given support to us through various organizations and other activities. And finally, we'll conclude with understanding. Okay, so now first and foremost, just go through this joke. I really love this joke. I created it myself. It is. Okay, so this joke, as you can see, is nobody is safe. And I always say that just two kinds of people in this world: one who've been hacked and one who would be soon hacked. So if not been hacked, I'm very sure a day will come when you will be as gullible or as vulnerable as the one who's been hacked. And also, like I said, because technologies come up so much, so newer times will breed newer kinds of crimes. So the nature of crimes, when we keep reading every day, is becoming so much. Okay, just yesterday we heard that Chinese hackers have already hacked into the server of Times of India and other media, important news, moguls. And this is very threatening, because trust me, it is not about just individual or organization. It's also about safety of the country, which is now being threatened by newer versions of cybercrime. Keeping that in mind, so how should a teacher now look at it? A teacher should understand what is happening in the world. A teacher should look at all the news items which are giving us, red signals blaring at the top about how ransomware is prevalent, how, banks are getting hacked, how people are getting hacked, how people are being manipulated, how gullible people are being, they're losing their salaries and their hard-earned money just because they shared something on the phone, etc., etc. As if that was not enough, we have another part of the web, which is invisible web. The web which we see is visible, the one which is accessible by the browsers we are aware about, like Chrome and Netscape. However, there's another part of internet which is not visible. Okay, that's called invisible web, which is not accessible to us through normal browsers. It is accessible to people who want to use it through special, tools and, mechanisms. So this invisible web is divided into parts: dark web and deep web. Deep web, as you can see on the screen, deep web is essentially used by government officers or researchers, where they want to assure that the work they are working on, the patent, the copyright data, etc., is all within their own known circle or authorized circle. Whereas dark web is essentially used for illicit activities like smuggling, pedophile, drug peddling, trafficking, etc. Okay, so it is dark web where majority of the data which is hacked is available, and that is very scary. And let me also share with you, I mean, just 2 days ago I was reading that apart from dark web, another place where data is available for sale, data of you and me, when you would have heard when airline data gets hacked, or when you would have had Dr. Lal Path Lab data was hacked. So where would this data be going? This data is siphoned out to either dark web, and very recently we heard it is also available on Telegram as a service. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is your data could be passed on or siphoned out to anybody who could misuse it for financial theft, who could use it for cyberbullying, who could use it for many other activities, including spying and espionage, etc. So why suddenly cybercrime has increased? Why it has become such a topic? Why it has become a new kind of threat to be wary of? Because all of us are digital now because of COVID, like I'm taking this session with you online. And because digital fatigue has set in minds of people who are using technology, in minds of people who are monitoring technology, in minds of law enforcement agencies, because everywhere when you are constantly glued to the machine, you are probably exploring those sites which you would have not visited. B, because you are so tired or careless or exhausted that you don't take those precautions that you would have normally taken had you been using technology more prudently and with more caution. So this is primarily the reason. Apart from the fact, like I said, the face of technology is also changing. The way to hack data, the way to sell data, the way to capture vulnerabilities, or I would not use technical words, but the mechanisms, the tools to hack are getting sophisticated. The users are getting exhausted. More users are coming online, and last but not the least, the whole system is networked together. It is integrated, instrumented, and that is why the possibilities of such kind of crimes are higher. With this background, let's come to what is our main agenda: teaching and learning. Okay, this is how I would mentally visualize teaching and learning ecosystem. The core are students supported by teachers, and then we have an outer blue circle where we have our principal as the helm of affairs, as our academic head as well as administrative head. We have school management boards and other organizations supporting the school to work properly. And last but not the least, now we have in this ecosystem like IT team. Like in this case also, the next person I was introduced was IT team. Okay, so IT team is a very important part of this setup. And then you have parents at the outer circle, as well as university boards like CBSE and other boards or state boards, etc. Now, this is the ecosystem which is now to be looked into, because the beneficiary is student. So teachers are responsible, IT team is responsible, school management is responsible, principal is responsible, university board should ensure the data is not getting leaked, parents should ensure when students are logged online, they have adequate parental control, etc. The reason I showed this ecosystem was to convey that everybody is important to safeguard the privacy and security of students. It is not student himself or herself. Okay, teachers should also ensure when they conduct online, how do they follow certain protocol. Principals should ensure that there is a cyber security policy in the school. IT team should ensure that their chief information security officers are updated, their network are secure, their perimeter are secure, their links are secure, the database of the school is secure. University board should ensure when they upload the results in DigiLocker or in any other portal, when they are announcing, how should data be protected. And last but not the least, parents as always would be equally responsible when students are going online. So keeping in mind how the redefined ecosystem has become, I'm now presenting another view of the same picture. Okay, now this view is students at the endpoint. Endpoint means the initial point. Okay, when you see students at the endpoint, students are now logging in to have their classes either using a desktop or a phone or a tablet, and in certain cases through not just homes or school systems but also cafes. That means unprotected open network. Okay, so don't forget that. Teachers, when they are sharing their class links, like I'm taking this session with you on Zoom through a link. So where is this session getting saved? It is neither saved in the student's device nor at the school device, but it is somewhere else. That somewhere else is cloud. Okay, you can see I've made a yellow bubble, which is actually signifying that data of each of us, of the students, of the class, of all other activities of the school are now inadvertently, deliberately, or inadvertently going to third party, to the cloud service providers. So when the teacher is recording her session or is sharing her session or is sharing data on a link, she's actually she has to understand that it is not her device which is responsible only for safeguarding the data, but the fact that she's using an external link, her data is being siphoned out all the time to that cloud. Last but not the least, this part, the last part of the bubble, is technical team. Okay, technical team has to ensure that when students come back to school and we still have some online mechanisms. When teachers are taking their sessions from school or universities or colleges, from the campus of the college, then they have a very proactive role to play. They should ensure their machines are safeguarded at various levels. We have complete different science of that. Okay, this science, what an IT team has to look into is basically cyber security with special emphasis on chief information security officers. And we conduct, in my institute, I conduct these training programs where we talk about firewalls, we talk about perimeter security, we talk about zero trust architecture, etc., etc. So dear friends, as of now, between you and me, we are focusing on first two chunks, which is cyber safety. Okay, when my IT teams look into their devices, they talk about what is cyber security. Okay, so whatever I've said just now is getting summed up here, that our online training, learning platforms, okay, the ones like Zoom or any other you could use, which are customized to you, are prone to cyber threats by 60% extra. So which is such a threatening figure, and which I've already said throughout the session till now. And also you would find, now I come to the most interesting and meaty part of our discussion. Now, this meaty part of the discussion is going to introduce to you the first word. To my left, on the yellow side, you can see number one, that these cybersecurity threats are emanating through techniques which are social engineering techniques. Okay, so first and foremost, the techniques are social engineering techniques. So what is social engineering? Social engineering, in very simple words, is putting emotional pressure on somebody. Okay, it should actually be emotional engineering and not social engineering, but for whatever reasons the word got coined, because society is playing a part. Okay, it's not just IT team, so that is why this word came. So when a student or teacher in our case is emotionally pressurized by either a super fabulous news or by a threatening scare, or by entering into their trust parameters, entering into the circle of confidence, they share something, they reveal something with somebody whom they don't know is actually a hacker in disguise. So that is social engineering. I'll give you an example. For example, in normal circumstances, I would never, of course, I would never, even in a normal, but hypothetically, in normal circumstances, as a normal middle-aged woman, I would still never share, details about my kids, where do they study, where are they working, what is their age group, okay, and what is my credit card number, what is my CVV, etc. In normal circumstances, with all sensibilities intact. However, if I get a call, Charu ma'am, you've taken fabulous cybersecurity sessions for last 100, this is your 100th cybersecurity session with a college. Hence, we are giving you a free treat to Maldives with your family. Please just give us the details of your family. So you can imagine, being an honest teacher, this looks like, wow, I've got a lottery. Okay. And ma'am, we've just got 5 minutes to share it. Otherwise, we'll pass it on to Dr. Anjali Gupta. So what would I do? I would immediately blah, blah, blah. This is my daughter's name. This is her age. And this is, I'm a HDFC card holder. And please, okay. So ma'am, fantastic. We've got your details. We profile you. Now just share your CVV number with us and you get the treat. Now, what is happening? I'm getting engaged in a dialogue which is emotionally surcharged with, excitement, and hence I lose track of my sanity. This is social engineering. Antithesis to social engineering is, to the example I gave you, is some young wife getting a phone call, God forbid, look, your father or your brother or your husband is in hospital, we've admitted him in the hospital, and I have already paid 2,000 rupees, but hospital is asking for 10,000, so please share your Paytm details and I will transfer the rest of the 8,000. You can transfer, and please do it fast because they are losing their blood rapidly. So this is another social engineering trick. Okay. And very recently we've I was just, in touch with somebody from Ministry of Home Affairs, and they said, ma'am, very recently we've got, I'm just reading it out, threats of scam, which are, I'll just read it out. These are report part-time job scam unofficial group, which is trying to ask, which is trying to say Flipkart is urgently recruiting part-time job people for part-time jobs. You can earn 6,000 to 10,000 every day. Please WhatsApp us. Okay, I'll share this with Anjali ji also. She can upload it. Now, look at this. When you go through these messages, you're sitting at home. COVID has put economic pressure on each family. You're looking for job opportunities sitting from home. You share details. You click at that link. You talk to interact with that person. They ask you something. This is also social engineering. Okay. Second is my machine is already having some flaw, which I'm not aware as a non-technical person. Okay, there are some flaws that can be hacked in by the criminal, and this is causing me a lot of problems because of those vulnerabilities, because of those flaws in my machine. I've got some malicious software which is called as malware injected in my machine, and now that malware has switched on my camera. Even when I'm not taking a class, that malware is recording whatever I'm saying. That malware is transferring my data elsewhere at remote server, etc. So this is because of technical glitch. Third, as I said, the CISOs, the Chief Information Security Officers, are using certain tools which are third-party tools, which themselves could have some virus, Trojan, or malware, which is leaking out the whole data from the network. And fourth is also similar, but fourth is more applicable to critical IT systems like Aadhaar or your power systems of the country, power grid of the system, country, energy sector of the country. So critical IT systems, wherever they are established, like complete university database is getting hacked because of the vulnerabilities there, or because people did not monitor, people did not take backups, people did not authenticate, authorize, etc. So this is more of a national organization and national level. So number 4 is organizational and national, and number 3 is still individual or school or university, college as a whole. Okay, last but not the least, it's very important for me to bring to your notice a new category of crime. It's not a technique, it's a crime, which is ransomware, where devices are getting locked and booty is being asked. So all these categories are emerging new threats that we have picked up from research literature, which are threatening schools and edutech setups. Edutech setups are, those startups that are trying to create new software for taking attendance, for monitoring assignments, for uploading digital content, etc. So these IT companies are working, but they are the ones who are becoming the via media for picking up data of the schools who are their clients, or the universities who are their clients. Okay, so this is what we should know about, and we should be very careful about. I have already said this part, but it's my duty to keep reminding my audience that there are two aspects to your life as a school teacher or university teacher and as a student. Okay, one is at an individual level, which is safety. To my right in light blue color, you can see cyber safety. One is safety of your own digital devices, which you are handling as an individual, your smartphone, your laptop, your palm top, your tablet, etc., etc. Okay. Second is organizational responsibility, which is cyber security, which the technical team, the CISOs, and the IT setups of the organizations or universities will look into. So when we talk today, we'll more focus on safety and less on security, because that's not our field, security. Now, before we also look into what should I do and what should I not do, I should know one thing. Every time I use any digital device, I'm leaving footprints on the sand of digital ecosystem. Okay, so every time I swipe my card, every time I give my details on any site like Swiggy, or every time I Google, I browse, every time I'm on social media uploading my photographs or my details, etc., I'm creating data for third party which can never be erased, and those are called as digital footprints. Now, if anybody would go into digital footprints of where did they go, even when I'm moving my location on and I'm moving from one point to another, I'm still creating a digital print of my location. Okay, so any smart person with mischievous intent or surveillance intent could look into all my digital footprints to create a digital profile about myself. From one point, they pick up where I stay. From another point, they pick up where what was my birthday date. From third point, they pick up where do I go for vacations. From fourth point, they pick up, you know, what all sessions I take, etc., etc. And then they can build up my caricature because they can link my footprints together to create a digital profile. And unlike any other mechanism, digital footprints are forever. We still do not have any mechanism of right to forget. I cannot erase once I've created a digital footprint. Hence, dear friends, it's very important to stay sanitized while creating these footprints. It's very important to know where am I swiping my credit card. It's very important to know what I'm sharing on social media. It's very important for me, how do I log into my email. It's very important to me, where do I share my links of my class, etc., which is digital hygiene. And hygiene is going to ensure safety for me, okay, in digital context. We've already explained this. I would want to just recapitulate whatever I said by this particular screen, which would give you a very clear idea of the nature of cybercrime at various levels. So this will give you a threat landscape, okay? At individual level, the light blue color that you can see on the screen, as an individual, I'm exposed to ransomware. I can have malicious software loaded on my machine. I can have threat because of vulnerability, which is APTs. I can be exposing my own personal sensitive data because I get emotionally surcharged through social engineering gimmicks. I can click at a link, which is actually a link which is, taking me to phishing websites. I'll explain the word phishing later. Okay, or which is kind of misusing my own data, which can capture my data, etc. Okay, then once my data has been captured, how can they create a replica of my identity in a proxy manner? So my details, my net banking details, my Aadhaar card, my whole personality can be duplicated for whatever reasons. Okay, for example, as a trainer, you might get an email from me that, look, I'm taking a free class on cybersecurity. It goes to 1,000 students I've taken class with, and the details are lying in my email. And please share your XY's details. So this is identity theft because Charu's email is being used by somebody else. Similarly, somebody else can become Charu to log into, God forbid, my net banking account because they picked up my OTP and my PIN numbers, etc., because of keyboard loggers, etc. Okay, so identity theft can lead to so many scams, including financial, including cyberbullying, and so much more. There is abuse through emails. Okay, all of us have encountered it or heard about abuse on social media also. Like we've heard about how people get trolled, how memes are created. Memes are usually with healthy connotation. However, trolls are mentally very frustrating, and whatever you type, whatever you say is misrepresented, and you are being stalked, you are being trolled, and eventually, especially on students, it put a lot of pressure. Okay, my device could be lost. I lose my contacts. My device knows so much about me, which even my family won't. So if I lose my device, or if I'm vulnerable with my device, I use official emails on my device. I could actually have so many threats, which could be any of these. My laptop, if it gets stolen, also is definitely a moving semi-university in itself. So many details could be there. Okay, similarly at organization level, when I talked about IT team of a university, college, or school, this is what they should look into, the kind of problems their schools could be exposed to. Last but not the least, when off the cuff, I mentioned that very recently we heard that a media company has been hacked by nation state, which is a rogue nation state like China or Russia. Two main nation states Usually nation states themselves do not instigate. They employ people or they have proxies for them. And from enemy state, we get attacks. So it is possibility that enemy is using mechanisms to reflect themselves as enemy state, members. So it is a very complicated ecosystem. But however, what is important for us to know, not just individuals or organizations, but even countries, defense organizations, your power sector, energy sector, anything can just conk off because of anonymous application, because of malware, because of data leak, etc. So we've already said that. Keeping that in mind, what do I do as a teacher? I'm not rambling through the entire list. You could read it at leisure. However, what is important for you to know, no longer you are teachers who specialize in your own domain. Let's say your domain is finance, your domain is behavioral science, your domain is economics, your domain is sociology. But parallelly, you have to become masters of my domain, which is information technology. Okay, so there is no excuse in ignorance anymore. You are now digital teachers. Digital avatars of your teachers, of teaching profession has already come. So A, you should know your subject well. B, you should know technology well. And you should know how to keep your students engaged in this digital mean. You should be able to create wonderful content. You should be able to ensure that content is not plagiarized. You should be able to ensure whenever you take your class is not getting hacked. You should ensure that whatever software you load on your machine is either not causing problem nor is illegal. Last but not the least, you should be able to monitor constantly that the digital ecosystem around you is safe. The Wi-Fi you are using or the networking you are using, it is your responsibility as a teacher to ensure that. So education has become dual now. A, your domain, and B, technology, and there is no escape from it. Okay. And to reaffirm my point, I'm just again saying teachers and schools are more vulnerable than any other industry in present times. Okay. And what are they vulnerable to? I did mention some threats there, but I'm repeating it for you. They are vulnerable to financial scams. They are vulnerable to, illicit activities like pornography, pedophile, etc. They are vulnerable to the card theft. They are vulnerable to constant cyber stalking or identity theft and blackmailing, ransomware. They are vulnerable to sales threat. They are vulnerable to illegal copying of content which actually belong to somebody else. I'll give you a very simple thing to remind you of why this has become an important category: cyber plagiarism. As a normal teacher or a trainer, when I was in an insulated face-to-face world, I could happily quote anybody and say it's my quote. I could happily lift a research output and say it's my research output. Of course, some of us never did that, but there were people who were constantly flaunting their credibility by picking up somebody else's work. And that work was never getting replicated, okay, because it was within non-digital means. They were using their transparencies and they were taking it back. So whatever they said created an impact, but they would not share it. Now, the moment they take and make a claim like this in digital world, they are already vulnerable. They are already exposed. Not just them, but everybody innocently could pick up a data and not attribute to a source. So you never know who puts you to task and takes you to bar for that and says you've used my content, you've not attributed it to me, you have used my data, etc. So cyber plagiarism has become a threat which it was never earlier for teachers, and hence very important. Social media has complicated life. It's made us so unsocial, if I can say that, because it has aggravated the threat of crimes. Whatever I would not say in my drawing room, now I happily post it on social media, which is so wrong. I means a teacher or a student, okay? Last but not the least, we have our own blogs, we have our own websites, which can give so much information about us that it has made us very vulnerable. So these are the types of cybercrime teachers and students often encounter. Therefore, what should you do? As a teacher, Whenever you create a class, you should ensure there is a lobby where you validate the entry of the teacher or the student, so that an undesirable element is not entering into your class to bomb your class with unwanted information or images, so that your details are not captured, and so that the identity is validated right at the time of entry. You know, so many teachers, when I take on these classes, they say, मैम हम तो उनको वीडियो ऑन करने के लिए बोल देते हैं, हम लोग उनको कहते हैं कि अच्छा आप अनम्यूट करके बोलो, so that I validate. But do you realize by that time you've already let the criminal in by not validating their entry? So it is like in a fancy dress, right at the doorsteps, your identity is getting verified before you start the party. Okay, so that is why creation of a lobby is something I always overemphasize on, because that is the first point I can nab a malicious actor or a criminal. Second is, whenever you share your links for a classroom, etc., please don't post it where it can be accessed by those who are not supposed to see it. Okay, you happily put it on your WhatsApp status. Don't do that. You happily put it on Facebook where you've got 1,000 other friends. You happily put it on LinkedIn and Instagrams. Don't do that, because that way they have entry to your school resources, your college resources, and your student databases, including your own. Okay, last but not the least, with whatever network you use, you should always make sure it is password protected and it is not easy to enter into. That network itself should be very secure, even at home. I have seen so many teachers complaining to me that, ma'am, we were so secure, hamara machine was password protected, hamara file was password protected, and yet I had a malware on my machine which misbehaved. So you know, when I would ask them to give me the details, the Wi-Fi of their house, the router would have a password like 1234, which happily everybody in the neighborhood is using and is aware of and has hacked into. So that is why I say the several aspects you should look into and be very careful about. So what do you do for point number 3? Please install a VPN. Virtual private network is a service which will ensure that your IP address, the address of your machine, cannot be looked into by anybody, cannot be reached unto by anybody. Okay, it's a very simple service available for something like 2,000 to 5,000, and you can install 5 devices on it at one point of time in your house. So even your domestic machines and devices should be safeguarded. And that is why it is very important for us, to ensure that my domestic environment is equally sanitized. Okay. Also, it is very important for us to never click at links which are unknown to us. Never reply to emails that are from unwanted senders or unknown senders. Please validate it yourself. Never ever click at links is the simple holy grail of cyber safety. किसी भी लिंक पे क्लिक नहीं करना आसानी से बिना वैलिडेट किए. ऐसा नहीं है मुझे इस I have to come to this class, I did click at the link sent by Anjali ma'am. However, when I get an email which says very reasonable coffee beans available, click here to get a discount. Okay, please don't do that. Adidas shoes are available on maybe half a price, and pass this information to 5 people and click here to say how you have done it. Okay, these kind of messages, the tantalizing messages, are actually the pot of attracting bees like you and me for crime. Okay, so that is why we say no trust. Don't trust anybody. You would definitely get emails kabhi na kabhi aaya hoga which will say, look, I'm stranded in Nigeria or XYZ in islands and please transfer itna money. Don't do that. So what I'm trying to say, free offers, unwanted people sending links. When I say unwanted, means people unknown to us, zero trust. Everybody who's even known to us, I should not click at the link till I'm not validating. Even like your bank, when it says, okay, look, we are giving you free offer, click here and we will create free account for your kid who is 5 years old, or your grandkid for that matter. So don't do that. Go to your bank or give them a call and check up. Have you sent me this? Okay, ICICI Bank is offering this much. Please click here. Don't do that. How do you point out? A, you give a call or validate. If it is not possible, go through the text of email or SMS or whatever, WhatsApp, it will definitely have a spelling mistake, a grammatical error. At least as a teacher, I can expect you to look into that. Okay, not as a naive rural artisan, I won't expect that. But as a teacher, I want you to look at spelling mistakes, at different shades of logo colors, different taglines of the company. These are very important aspects for you to judge. Look, this is not from where it should be. And last but not the least, there's nothing called as a free lunch. Nobody's going to give you Adidas shoes for 300 rupees or give you a free account of Netflix just like that. You are nobody special. They won't even do it to the political leaders of the country. Why won't you be so important? Okay. So, and I always tell, safety starts from passwords. Passwords are usually like date of birth, marriage anniversary dates, your mother's name, your pet's name. Please don't do that. Password should be as unidentifiable, as complicated as Bangan ka bharta on 21st September, special hash. Something nobody can even make out, even if they try, but you should remember it. Okay. And how do you remember it? Majority of the time you email yourself list of passwords. Don't do that. A crawler can read password word, PASSWD, wherever they see, they will pick it up, pass it on to the hacker. Okay, if you have a malware on your machine or on your email. So be very careful. Write passwords on a diary, okay, on a physical diary, and keep it safe. Don't even get it photocopied. If you want to share something as special as password of your bank account with your own spouse, I never give it to my spouse, say to your family members. So you should ensure you write it with hand, take an image and pass that image. Okay, please don't even write on your WhatsApp password of bank is XYZ. Don't do that. Okay, so it is as important as that. And make complicated passwords and change them. Do not keep same passwords for all your accounts. Your OTT having same password, your email having same password, your net banking having same password, your Zoom having same password. If one password I know you completely, I can hack you anywhere and torture you anywhere in the cyber world. Okay, keep changing passwords, make complicated passwords. Aajkal there is a trend to make passwords as strings. Okay, like a string can be, I love cybersecurity with caution. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll pick up cybersecurity, caution, and jumble some capitals and smalls and special letters, but I can have a very heavy, healthy recall of this. So passwords can be strings also, depending on you. Okay, I stay at Ludhiana @5825 and special character. So this is something you'll never forget, that 5825 should not be your date of birth or your locker number or whatever. It should be again something random. Okay, because please trust me, hackers are far more superior to you and me in IQ. They have already collected your data. They're just waiting for that one last data point to profile you completely. अगर आप सोच रहे हैं आपके बारे में कोई नहीं जानता, you are badly mistaken. Hackers तो 100% जानते हैं. उनको बस एक information और चाहिए, आपके mother का नाम या pet का नाम या date of birth, to figure out what could be your password. So please be very sure of what you are writing and doing. Okay, domains should be constantly checked. Make sure that you are not going to invalid domains, .coms, etc. and wherever. Use trusted sources. Make sure that whatever software you're using, very expensive at times, but make sure it is authenticated. Okay, and also keep an eye for people in your class. Keep an eye for people you are coming in touch with on Facebook and other social media. Why just Facebook? There are so many other social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and for that matter, even WhatsApp, etc. A lot of teachers and students asking, ma'am, how do I know if my data is already there in deep web, dark web, or elsewhere? This is one website. I put it in blue. Please write it down as it is. Have I been pawned? Pawn ka A is missing. Okay, you put your phone number there. You'll find, have you ever been hacked into? Put your website details. You'll find whether you've been hacked into. Put your email address. You'll find you've been hacked into or not. It works wonderfully. It has so much of data, and every data which is on sale elsewhere, is known to this particular service provider. Okay, they have kind of collated it. So you can figure out if you ever been hacked, if your passwords have ever been leaked inadvertently through this Have I Been Pawned website. So now cybersecurity breaches are primarily because of human error. So don't blame your IT team, first blame yourself. Okay, last but not the least, whatever I've just shared with you, I would just repeat it by going from strong password rules. I've already said that. Differentiate between authorized and unauthorized access yourself. Like teachers, you have more responsibility of who's entered into the class, whether they are authorized or not authorized. Please be aware of cyber laws. Every cyber crime can be penalized in two manners. A, through IT Act of the country, and B, through Indian Penal Code. Okay, so you do need to know some of these, because if you are ever hacked and you know about these sections, you can always help the law enforcement agency to investigate it faster. कि किसके अंदर इसको वो करें, रिकॉर्ड करें, किस सेक्शन के अंदर. Okay, you should also know there are many cyber handles like CyberDost. Please follow it. CyberDost is a wonderful, facility by Ministry of Home Affairs, which has an Instagram account, a Facebook account. It sends you SMS and so many other things. Please, it has a Twitter account. Please start following it. And you would also find that there is a helpline 155260 in case something happens. Instead of calling me up or calling Dr. Anjali up, you can also call up 155260. It is a toll-free number, and they will give you ready-made tips of how to lodge a complaint, of what to do, what has happened to you, and what section is applicable, etc. Please try it once to know how it works. And last but not the least, ensure that you have a VPN in your house. Please spend on that. Don't expect your university or school or your organization to pay for that. It is as important as dal, atta, and chawal for your house. Okay, please spend it yourself. Okay, like we used to buy pen and paper and books earlier as teachers. Please, let's now invest in our digital, safety measures. It's our responsibility. It's not responsibility of my organization alone. So never share your details. I'm just summing up. Never share your details. I've said it, but I'm going to rehamper it in your mind. I recast in your mind, hammer it in your mind. Okay, never share your financial information. Be careful of what you are downloading. Unauthorized apps are a complete no-no. Please ensure that while you are browsing, you are using incognito mode. In a browser setting, you can go, you have an incognito mode. Please try to avoid giving your latest information on social media. I'll be honest, like as an individual, I also put my status very often. I keep changing it, but I make sure I don't give it on the date it happened. Okay, because when you are giving your real details, your real location, your real coordinates, your real photographs of that day, you are staying in a world without walls. I mean, you are very vulnerable. So please make sure you don't share these details. You buy a new car, you flaunt it on social media. Don't do that. You are inviting thieves, not just in physical world, but in cyber world also, because they know this person has booty. Like income tax people are constantly prowling on you. Forget about criminals. When you will fill your ITR form, you will realize I teach income tax officers and I know what tools they are using to look into you. So please, first, don't be tax evasive. Number two, please don't post everything there. आपने किसी और की फोटो, अपनी vacation की फोटो बना के post कर दी, thinking you've got validation from your friends. Please, you'll also come under the radar of criminals and income tax officers. Okay, keep changing your privacy settings. Only friends, status to only friends, status to only contacts, etc., etc. I don't need to say it. I'm sure you know about it. Strong passwords, I've already said. Internet connection, I've already said. So make it as secure as possible. This is all I would love to share with you. And I would also like to say, before I close off, that God forbid, if still some cybercrime happens, to you, which would happen. Trust me, it's not something you should be dreading. It should be something you should be prepared for. First and foremost thing to remember is dial 100. Okay, just dial 100, give them a call. However, before you jump into any other means, which I'll tell you just in 2 minutes after this, important thing for you is to save the screenshots, to save the evidence. Okay, if somebody is bullying you or trolling you, have a screenshot. If somebody is sending you unauthorized message, please safeguard it. If somebody is deface your own website, please save it. Okay, if somebody is sending you a ransomware mail, please go to the IP address on the email and try to look at the email header. So these are basic things you should know and safeguard before you lose your head. Okay, first and foremost, instead of crying or instead of shouting for help, please try to save as much evidence as possible, because criminals can erase their footprints without you even knowing what hit you and where it hit you and when it hit you. So whenever a crime happens to you, take a proof of that, evidence of that, then dial 100. Then you could also write a complaint in simple Hindi or local language wherever you are and put it as an FIR to your local police station. It is a non-cognizable offense. You can file an FIR on that. However, the easiest way, apart from 155260, is to go to a portal called as cybercrime.gov.in. I repeat, cybercrime.gov.in. Okay, whatever I said, you can upload it there. It will just ask you to create your own login. It takes 2 minutes. वहां पे सारी identity real देनी है. Don't give pseudo identities there. Okay, so you will give your name, your address, your phone number, your email address, because it's a totally secure portal, so that the law enforcement authorities know whom to come back to in case something is nabbed or they want some more clarification. Okay, so sender details should be complete, evidences should be maximum, and what was the platform on which this crime happened should be there. So that is how you upload your complaint, and this is basic common sense which each and every citizen of a country should know. And that is why, because people are not having internet connection, people are wary of going to cybercrime.gov.in, that we have Government of India doing so many efforts of giving helpline like 155260, like asking you to dial 100, asking you to go to a local police station. So there are multiple channels through which you can report a cybercrime. But please remember, it is caution that will help you the most. Thank you.